Hi, welcome back to my video. Today, we're going to show you how to install RStudio Memory Machine Cloud Edition, MMCE. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of go over what is in the demo. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we're running MMCE version 1.2 or higher. And there's also a very specific port for RStudio we need to open on the firewall, and that's 8787. And I'll show you how we do that. And in our deployment script, we use JQ, so make sure JQ is installed as well. And after that, we simply download the shell script for the deployment and then just launch it. It's quite simple. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is verify the Memory Machine Cloud Edition 1.2. So we log into AWS, and we look at we'll find the App Center. Okay, so you can see here App Center is running. All right, that's good. And then we'll come over to our command line. First, we want to make sure we log in, and then we'll do a verify of the version that we're running. Okay, so we're running 1.2. The second thing is to making sure that we have the security groups created with the right port opened. So we select this security group I have created before. And in the inbound rules, we have port 8787 open to the outside world. So we'll use this security group later on when we deploy RStudio. So now we're going to go back to the command line. And first of all, we're going to make sure that RStudio is an image that is already in our image list. So we do a flow image list. And you can see here, RStudio is here. And for us to deploy RStudio, we will use a wrapper script, mmce_rstudio.sh. And we are going to specify the IP address of App Center here. And we'll grab the IP address. Okay. All right. And then we'll pass the security group ID, which is right here. Group ID. And then we can start. Okay. So what this wrapper script does is going to produce this command. We are going to start RStudio with 2 CPU, 4 GB of memory. And then these are some of the parameters we specified at runtime. And as you can see here, this has started. And then we'll do a float SQ to verify that it's starting, right? So this process takes about 5 to 10 minutes to fully come up. And once the IP address is assigned to RStudio, we will log in and then we will access the RStudio GUI. Okay, so we have been up for roughly 10 minutes now. So let's go back into AWS. And we'll check the running instance that's have been running for RStudio. Okay, so this is the IP address of the instance. And as you can see here, this is a spot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this IP address. And we're going to use port 8787. Okay. So RStudio. Okay, so now you can see we have started RStudio with MMCE, and this runs on Spark instance. So now let's launch a sample program. Okay. And this sample program basically draws a sphere, something like this. And then now we are going to simulate a Spark reclaim. So roughly every few hours or maybe even a few days, the Spark instance will get reclaimed by AWS. And when that happens, everything will be taken back. So we are going to simulate what happened when we do that. The way we are going to do the simulation is essentially migrate this RStudio from one VM to another VM. And then when we do that manually, we can also change the amount of memory in the CPU we want to use for this session of the RStudio. So for example, if I'm running, let's say on 2 CPU, 4 gig memory, and when I roll this into a testing or dev or test environment, we may have much greater data, right? We may have hundreds of gigabytes or maybe even terabytes of data. So at that point, I may need a lot more CPU. So we can do that very easily with MMCE. So similar to what we did before, with how we start the RStudio, we are going to change some of the parameters. We are going to specify the job ID, and then we're also going to specify amount of CPU. Let's say it's 4, memory, let's say 8, right? So I essentially doubling the amount of memory in the CPU I have, -M, and then we say migrate. Okay. Yes. So what this will do is it's going to migrate this instance of RStudio to another machine. It will acquire a new IP address, and then the port ID is the same. So it'll be the new IP address, port 8787, and then we'll be in the accessing the RStudio on the new machine. Okay, so this process takes roughly about 5 minutes to complete, and then we'll come back when this is done. Also, as you can see here, once that command is issued, the status changed from executing to floating, right? It's essentially floating from one VM to a new VM. Okay. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, you can see here, we got a new IP address, and RStudio has been floated into this new VM, right? So what we're going to do, similar to what we did before, is we're going to copy and paste into a new browser tab. Okay, for 8787. Okay, so now what happened is this instance that we were running on before on this VM is no longer available, right? It's timed out. It's timed out, and RStudio is now running on this new VM. So let's log in. Okay, so as you can see here, everything from the previous instance has been carried over to this new instance, and we can kind of move forward. We can continue on with our RStudio from here. And this process is going to repeat over and over again as each time the Spark instance gets reclaimed, and it will be restarted on a new instance. So that's how RStudio works with MMCE. Thank you.